So I have a super fun mock draft for you guys today. Fellow YouTuber Jiedel comes on and we do a full first round mock. What I like about this one, it is very different from what I have mocked in the past. There is some surprise picks here, and hey, you never know what's going to happen on draft night. There's always a few picks made in the lottery in the top 20 that just nobody predicted. So yeah, it's pretty interesting in that aspect. I won't waste any more of your time. Let's hop right in. All right, so here we are. We're doing another NBA mock draft. Jaidel's got the first overall pick here. Is it a surprise? Who are you taking
This
here?
is a really tough decision. We got to build around Keldon Johnson, so we probably want to get a big. We'll go with Victor Wembanyama.
I heard this guy's good.
He's all right. He's about to lose in the finals. He might not have that dog in him.
I know, right? It's cool that he's playing, though, at least, still, right up to the draft. It's kind of crazy. But yeah, honestly, I've heard also the Spurs could try to trade back in the top 10, which would be pretty cool. I think, if they can add a point guard throughout this offseason, it could be, honestly, a scary team in the West next year.
Yeah. I'm really curious, what Victor's going to look like in the NBA, because obviously he is a center, but, he plays on the perimeter so much that I'm kind of curious, what, big pairings he's gonna see in his career.
Yeah, honestly, I could see him playing some power forward for sure, with just if he's gonna be on the perimeter, and they can kind of run some lineups. I guess with it's like Zach Collins at the 5 right now, but definitely gonna see Jeremy Shohan at the 4 and him at the 5. But I'm actually going to do something different. So this is a mock draft. This isn't a big board or anything. And there's been some rumblings that Brandon Miller is going to go to. ESPN, Bleacher Report, The Ringer, they're all still mocking it that it's going to happen. And I haven't done a mock draft with Brandon Miller at 2 in forever. So I'm going to switch things up here. We're going to go Brandon Miller at 2 to Charlotte over Scoot Henderson.
I think it makes sense fit. Well, I guess I'm curious from your perspective, do you think he is a better prospect than Scoot, or do you think that's more of a need over BPA, or how do you feel about that?
Yeah, I like Scoot as a prospect for sure. I think the one knock people have on Scoot Henderson is his shooting, and that's something that's going to translate for Brandon Miller coming over, because he's a 6'9" wing that could shoot, and obviously in today's NBA that's great. But I think Scoot has a higher ceiling, and if he works on his jump shot consistently, he has one of the quickest bursts in the league. He has a great read. He's, I think, a little bit more NBA ready, and I think they're so close in the same tier for me. They're both in my tier 2, my only prospects in tier 2. So I'm fine with Brandon Miller over Scoot, but I do have Scoot definitively over Brandon Miller right now. And I'm worried a little bit about Brandon Miller's kind of his dribble and his speed at the next level. I feel he could end up just being a Michael Porter Jr. spot up shooter, which is completely fine. I think I just wouldn't take him over Scoot if that's what he's going to end up as.
Yeah, I started the offseason in the Miller camp, but as it's progressed, I've become more of a Scoot guy. So I'm number 3, which means I'm Portland. Portland is really interesting because it seems like they're committed to building around Dame, and I don't know how Scoot fits into a Dame Simons backcourt. So I think, you'd think trade here. I think ultimately Portland, because if you're going to trade Simons and the number 3 pick, you must be getting crazy value back. And I don't know what that trade is. So I think they are just going to stay there and take Scoot.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, oh my man, if that's what ends up happening and they have Scoot, Dame, Sharp, and Simons, it would just not make any sense as a team building aspect. But if you could if say they do build around Dame, who would you like to see them maybe trade 3 and Simons for if they could go out and get a guy that's a number 2 to Dame?
I think that's tough because I don't know if I love Scoot as a natural pairing to Dame. I honestly, realistically, I hate to say it, I feel it kind of starts Scoot coming off the bench, and I think for any of these top 3 guys, we think about how they fit into their current team, but realistically, they're going to one of these teams because these teams are pretty devoid of talent. So the team that will be around them 4 years from now is probably a lot different than the team they have right now.
Yeah, for sure. I just would it's weird who's gonna trade Dame, and are you gonna get a dollar for him? Are you gonna get kind of 50 cents on the dollar for Dame because he's getting up there in age and he's making so much money? But I think they should just trade Dame and build around whoever they take at 3 and the other guys. But it's definitely going to be an interesting draft night, because I think if Miller goes 2 and Scoot's on the board at 3, we could see the Raptors, the Pelicans, all these teams giving calls to the Blazers at 3 to get that pick. So we're here at pick 4. This is kind of where the real draft starts, even though I've been mocking this a ton, and I've been seeing it mocked, but it's Amen Thompson to the Houston Rockets. I don't think they should take Amen Thompson if they do end up with James Harden in free agency, but you can get Amen Thompson Worry about the jump shot later. He's a great ball handler, great court vision for somebody coming over out of the overtime elite. He got better in year 1 and year 2 there. He's going to need some reps, and he's not going to be great right away, but he's going to project to being a pretty good point guard in this league.
Yeah, it's kind of interesting with the NBA because the draft happens before free agency, so it's very different than football. But so now I have the 5th pick. The 5th pick belongs to the Pistons. So the Pistons are a really weird team to me because they have so many bigs on their roster with like Wiseman, Duran, but none of them project to be like, I don't know, very good starters to me. They all kind of seem like low-end starters, high-end backups, like ultimately to me. So I kind of like getting a big that has talent that those guys don't have because a lot of those guys are at rim big. So I'm going to go Taylor Hendricks to give some shooting around Cade.
I like it because I haven't mocked him this high at 5, but I'm perfectly fine with them going with a power forward because, like you said, none of these guys are really anybody you're building around. Wiseman's got 1 year left on his rookie deal. I think Isaiah Stewart's already in trade talks. Bojan's older. Bagley's not very good. And you can get Hendricks next to Darren, and if you like him over Jarris Walker, I kind of like Taylor Hendricks in Detroit. You're putting me on that right now.
Yeah, because I think Jarris is kind of, like, in terms of skill set, it's more similar to the bigs they already have. They don't have a big with spacing, which is what I think they really could use.
Yeah, I definitely agree there because you're just trying to build around that backcourt of Ivy and Cade. So now we're on the clock here at 6 with the Magic. Okay, so I think, like, in my next tier of guys, it's basically Asor, Cam, and Walker. I think the way this is fallen right now, I think I'm still going to go Asor Thompson here with the 6th overall pick. He's not going to be a great shooter right away, but I really think the jump shot is going to develop. It improved from his first year in the Overtime Elite League to year 2. I think he's a really good ball handler for somebody at 6'7". I think he's going to be a good defender in the league, and you just add like another athletic freak in Orlando, and you can kind of have like that Fultz, Thompson, Franz trio to start the year, and I'm a fan of that. So I'm going to go the second Thompson twin here at 6.
Interesting. I feel like that's really setting them up to try to draft Grady with their second pick in the lottery because they need shooting. But here I am at 7. I'm the Pacers. This is the first of their 3 draft picks. So I have them needing some wings around Hield and Halliburton. They could use a big because it seems like Miles Turner is always in and out of trade talks. Or they could go Cam. I think I'm going to go with Cam Whitmore. I think him next to Halliburton would be pretty dynamic.
Yeah, I think so too. And I think like Cam Whitmore, he's coming over somebody that has like, he's not like a great facilitator. He's somebody that gets tunnel vision sometimes. And that's similar to like maybe like RJ Barrett when he came out of Duke. So I think playing next to Halliburton is going to be so huge for his development. And I kind of like him and Mathurin on the wings together.
I do too. I think like, especially as those guys develop, it's going to just kind of help them pressure the rim because I think maybe that's like one thing they're a little missing right now.
Yeah, definitely. And this is the 8th overall pick for the Wizards, and I have no idea how this team is going to look like on draft night. Is Beal going to be gone? Is it going to be kind of like set in stone that he's going to get traded this offseason? Is Kristaps Porzingis going to get opt-in, possibly traded, or is he going to opt out? It's looking like Kuzma's like, it's actually a no-brainer. He's going to opt out. So I've liked Anthony Black here, but I think the way that this mock is fallen, I'm going to go with Jarris Walker here with the 8th overall pick. You take your best player available. You hope you build around him, Corey Kispert, Denny Avdia, and the picks you get, or at least the assets you get back in the Bradley Beal trade. So yeah, I'm going to go with Jarris Walker here with the 8th overall pick to Washington.
Oh, wow. Okay. After you mocked both of the Thompson twins away, because that's kind of where I figured one of them would land.
Yeah.
Because they're interesting to me because they haven't had the greatest stats in the Overtime Elite League, when it's kind of like I don't know how the talent level is in that league. So now
it's so bad.
I'm here.
It's like watching like middle school basketball.
Yeah. So I'm the Jazz. The Jazz are kind of one of those weird teams where they have kind of good players at every position, but not like great players. Ooh, the highest player left on my big board, which looks a lot different than the one on this website, is Keontae George. But I am going to mock a person that I see they're rumored to take, which is Bilal Coulibaly. Victor's teammate in France.
I like it. Yeah, I feel like him and even like Keontae George, because I think one of these guys could definitely surprise teams and go, or just like everybody and go in the top 10. So going with Bilal here at number 9, this is an interesting mock. I like the way this is shaking up because like if you just pick chalk and like, oh, this is what's getting mocked everywhere, it's never going to happen. That's why mock drafts are never perfect. So I'm interested in that pick now. So we have, we're on the clock here at 10 with the Mavericks. And there's a ton of talent they can go here. There's some good defenders in Cason Wallace and Anthony Black. They could go with Grady Dick to get some shooting. Even Derek Lively could be in the conversations here at 10. So I'm kind of torn
Before
what
you
do
make
guys
the
say?
pick,
Yeah.
what do you think the odds are that the Mavericks actually make this pick?
Yeah, I'd honestly put it at probably 40% that they make the pick. I think if there is a chance that they can move this, I think there was a John Collins rumor earlier today that they could trade down to 15 with the Hawks. Hawks move up 5 spots and they get off the Collins contract. That could happen, or if Aiden's on the block, or if OG Anunoby's in play. So yeah, I think this could be traded for sure. But I think right now, the way this is going, I'm going to go with Case and Wallace if they are going to keep the pick, just because they desperately... No. I think actually the way this draft's falling, I'm going to undo this pick, and I'm actually going to have them take Anthony Black. I think Anthony Black at 10. He's not as good a defender as Case Wallace, but I think he's just there, and I think he could be a better playmaker at the next level as well. But I'm probably drafting him as best player available that the Mavericks can use in a trade.
Interesting. Yeah, I think Black definitely. I think maybe not as accomplished a defender, but in terms of size, that's he's a much bigger player. Which even if you're not as skilled at defensively, is pretty good to have on defense.
Yeah, no, definitely.
Okay, so I have the 11th pick now. I'm the Magic. Now this is where I feel like the Magic are also not going to make this pick, but we mocked them, one of the Thompson twins. And I think this team needs shooting. And this is the guy who's top on my... I know, but actually now that I'm seeing it, the guy who's on the top of my board right now is Keontae George.
Okay.
I think he's going to be a really strong off-the-ball shooter at the NBA level. I'm a little worried about the playmaking, but I'm hoping between the Thompson twins, Fultz, and hopefully Paulo, he's not going to have to do a lot of playmaking. So I'm going to take Keontae George.
Yeah, I think if George does get drafted by Orlando, it would be very good for his development if they are going to buy into him and his strengths there in Orlando. Because I think if he does go to a team where he's asked to do too much, and like you said, maybe be a playmaker more than he can kind of carry, it's going to be tough for his development. So we got the Orlando Magic drafting Asar Thompson there at 6 and Keontae George at 11. All right, so we're at 12 here with the OKC Thunder. This is a team that could also be active on draft night in the trade department. Could they trade up? Could they trade out of this spot? Could they trade down? I think all are possibilities. And there's a couple guys that I think could really fit here. Like we have Grady Dick still on the board. We have Kaysen Wallace, Jordan Hawkins, Derek Lively. And I've been mocking Lively a little bit. But I think like the way that this draft is falling, I think... Could they take another guard? Maybe Trey Mann falls out of the rotation and they go for another defensive-minded guy that can help them win next year and try to make the playoffs in a Kaysen Wallace. I could definitely see that. But I'm going to actually go with Grady Dick here at 12. I think his shooting off ball, he can play the 2, he can play the 3, he can come off the bench, actually provide some plus defense as a rookie for OKC. Could help them be a play-in tournament, maybe bottom playoff team next year. So that's going to be the pick there at 12 to the Thunder for me.
I like that pick.
Yeah, I think it was time for him to go.
I think the Thunder are going to be really, really interesting next year with Chet coming in.
Yeah, because it's like they're getting another top 5 rookie coming in next year, which is crazy.
Yeah. So I have the Raptors. I think for my team needs, I put jump shooting in all caps.
Honestly.
I would be surprised if all 3 of Scotty Barnes, Siakam, and Anunoby are on the roster post-trade deadline. And I think, probably sticking with Siakam, probably sticking with Barnes. So I want some shooting. Kind of tough. The guy I have right now, wow, I'm very different than my big board's very different than the one we have here on Fanspo. I'm going with Kobe Buffkin.
Okay, I like it.
I think he can score it kind of, he can shoot it. Efficient. I like that. Not, the defensive beast that I feel like the Raptors are built around, but now that Nick Nurse isn't the coach, I feel like the identity of the team is going to change along with it.
Yeah, I love that pick. I'm actually high on Kobe Buffkin. I have a top 10 grade on him above some other guys in this draft. He's like kind of one of my guys. I think he's a really crafty combo guard, and he can play the 1, he can play the 2. I think he's actually going to be a solid defender. I think he's like NBA ready in terms of his just basketball IQ coming over. And like you said, they need shooting because Fred VanVleet opted out. He's probably gone. Gary Trent Jr. is most likely opting out. So their 2 best shooters are basically not going to be on the team next year. So they can get Kobe Buffkin to run the show. So I'm a huge fan of that pick. And then we're on the clock here with the Pelicans and the last one of the lottery. I'm going to have them take, Kaysen Wallace still on the board. I would think like maybe I would go with Jordan Hawkins. But I think Kaysen Wallace still on the clock here at 14 can provide them some more point guard depth because Dyson Daniels, we'll see what he's going to develop into. Jose Alvarado maybe isn't your long-term franchise answer there at the 1. So get Kaysen Wallace, improve that defense even more, and somebody that could go definitely in the top 10, they can get at 14.
I probably would have taken him with this pick if you hadn't taken him to come off the bench for this team. And the Hawks, sneakily, I think I tend to think of them in my head as a jump shooting team, but sneakily have kind of lost a lot of jump shooting over the last year and a half.
Yeah.
And this is perfect. My top player on my big board right now is Jet Howard, who I think just fits in perfectly. Kind of a big-bodied wing guard. I don't know what you'd classify him as. I kind of just wrote him down as a wing, but shot about 37% on high volume. Can use his body. I think that team does need some physicality, especially if they do trade Collins. So I love the fit next to Trey and DeJounte.
Yeah, definitely. And they're going to have some like wings to figure out next year. And you went back-to-back with Michigan guys. You went Buffkin at 13, and then you went Jet Howard at 15.
I did.
So we're on the clock here at 16 with the Utah Jazz. We already had them select Bilal there at number 9. So maybe they can go somebody with a higher floor because they're taking a chance with Bilal there at 9. So honestly, I think that somebody that can come in and be NBA ready for them, and that's going to give them a 4-year rookie contract. It doesn't matter that he's more NBA ready than some of these other guys. Go out and get Jordan Hawkins, especially if maybe Jordan Clarkson leaves in free agency. You can get somebody that can be a nice 3-and-D guy for you right away next to Lauri Markkanen and Kessler, and you're trying to probably make the play-in tournament at the minimum next year. And I think getting Hawkins at 16 is solid value.
All right, so I have the Lakers picked. Lakers are an interesting team. I feel like that any team with LeBron can always use more shooting, but I think one like big problem with the Lakers this year was they didn't really have another big with any sort of real paint presence. If Davis wasn't in the game, it was a huge problem in the playoffs. Wenyen Gabriel, I don't think is an NBA quality player at this point in his career. And I think it would really help the Lakers to take a nice athletic center. LeBron's really good at running pick and roll with rim rolling bigs. So I don't really want to reach for Najee here. I'm going to take Lively as the best rim protecting center on the board.
Yeah, I like this. I think he's going to be a very good rim protector in the NBA, good shot blocker, and he's actually been showing off his three-point shot in workouts. So if he can even just hit like a 3 a game next year, that's more than enough value to get at 17 for the Lakers. So I do love that. I think the Lakers definitely should take him if he's on the board. So it's funny, like the Miami Heat just were in the NBA Finals, and they're picking at 18, which is kind of crazy. So I think somebody that could buy into the system that has great intangibles, that maybe isn't going to be like super NBA ready out the gate, but that has elite size and elite frame, can be an elite defender in the NBA, and just seems perfect for that Miami Heat culture, is Leonard Miller out of the G League Ignite.
I love this.
Yeah, I think like just getting somebody you could maybe plug and play in between Bam and Jimmy that could switch on defense could just be so huge for hopefully a championship run again for them next year.
Yeah, when I was kind of looking into all the prospects, I was a little surprised that he's kind of down in the 20s in a lot of of big boards, because I like just kind of watching the quick second leap, just dynamic, not afraid of contact. I really, really like that, especially if he can stretch out to kind of a deeper mid-range and maybe even a 3. That'd be just great in the Miami Heat culture. All right, with the 19th pick, I have the Warriors. So 3 very, very interesting teams. Lakers, Heat, and Warriors. Back-to-back picks. The Warriors are a really interesting team because I imagine this is the year they kind of say, all right, we're done with the young guys. We're just going to, let Steph do it. The whole 2 timelines thing isn't quite working out. So I guess the question is, do they want to add more guys who fit into the shooting culture? Do we want more bigs? So we have Looney.
Yeah. And
man.
Yeah, because their core's getting older. They maybe need to take somebody that can help them, or they could be a team that trades the pick. I know they've been in trade rumors, especially with Kuminga. Also, I've heard of.
Yeah, it didn't make sense to me that they hadn't been. It didn't really make sense to me when these very athletic bigs don't work on their team, because I figured rim rollers were just crushing that system. But I'm gonna take Noah Clowney.
Okay. Yeah, I think, especially if they do move on from Kuminga and Dre might not even be on the team next year. So I think getting another big could be useful for them for sure going forward.
Yeah, I think for me, I like that Clowney he's 6'10", but he's switchable, and I think that's gonna be really important playing a lot of these teams. Like Denver is running a lot of guys off screen, or if they have to play the Lakers again, just having another body for LeBron and all these guys that, I don't know, for them I think the defense is gonna be really important, and size on the court.
Yeah, definitely. I think you're drafting Clowney in the top 20 to be somebody, like you said, that could switch on defense and that can guard up to 5s and guard up just kind of smaller guys too on their perimeter in the playoffs next year. That's for sure. So we're on the clock here at 20 with the Houston Rockets, and I'm going to, I think, be making this mock that they're not getting James Harden so they can draft all the point guards they want, because I had them take Amen Thompson there at 4, And I think what they should do with maybe Kevin Porter Jr. is let him be more of like a wing shot creator than a playmaking one. I just don't think it's really going to work out him leading that offense, and I think he should go back to what he was doing, possibly in Cleveland, and what he did at USC and being more of a wing scorer. So I think they could take another point guard here. Why not? Go best player available. Personally, I do have Nick Smith ranked higher than Jalen Hood-Schifino, but I think if it came down to it, the Houston Rockets would prefer Jalen Hood-Schifino over Nick Smith Jr. So that's going to be the pick there at 20 to Houston. Now we start off with back-to-back picks with the Brooklyn Nets.
This is fun. We both get to be the same team.
I know,
and
right?
you took the player that I had going to Brooklyn because I think they definitely need some distribution for their really talented wings. So this is another team that, I don't love their center depth. I think we all like Nick Claxton, but I think Nick Claxton is a little bit flawed. You see in the Philly matchup, he can't really handle just big size. Embiid kind of babied him for a lot of that series.
Yeah, and I think for Claxton, too, he's like somebody that's going to be a free agent soon. And do you really want to give Nick Claxton $25 million a year? That's kind of tough to do.
I don't. Especially, I feel like there's an emotional maturity component with him that I'm not in love with. So I'm going to give Brooklyn I'm going to give them James Najee.
Okay, going with another big man. I like it. All right, so you just went James Najee there. And I think the Nets with 22, yeah, like you said, I think like if you were gonna, if I didn't take Jalen Hood-Schifino, you were gonna go a point guard, and I think they definitely need a point guard. Like Dinwiddie isn't your long-term answer there. So I'm a big fan of Nick Smith more than others. I think like his injury-riddled freshman year really hurt his public perception, but he was great in high school. He had some really good games towards the end of the regular season for Arkansas this year, and I'm gonna go with him at 22, and I would actually be very happy with that if I was a Nets fan.
Yeah, I was thinking Brooklyn was maybe gonna be looking for more of a traditional point guard in that spot, which is where I was kind of like, I don't really know who I like in this range of the draft. That's why I went with a big instead of a point guard, because I do think that is a more pressing need.
And Smith's kind of like a combo guard, so he's not like a traditional one for sure.
All right, we are here at number 23, the Trailblazers with a second pick. And so in our mock draft, we had them taking Scoot. So they still need to address their center issue. They still need to address some of the wing issues. This guy is not going to have to handle the ball a lot, which I think for his kind of limited athleticism is good, and it's going to give space. So we're going to go with Bryce Sensabaugh.
Yeah, I think Bryce Sensabaugh at 23 is like pretty good value because he was a great freshman scorer out of Ohio State and somebody that could be a little bit crafty. And man, I would just like we got them taking Scoot and Bryce Sensabaugh, and I would love that if they were going into like a full rebuild and like build around those guys too.
Yeah, no, especially if maybe Dame is traded for, I don't know if he's going to be the ton of draft picks or it'll be maybe an elite big, but like if you just kind of start with like a Scoot, Sensabaugh, Jeremy Grant, and some sort of great center, like that's a really strong starting spot.
Yeah, and their team was just like so much better on paper, like long term, which is actually like a foundation and not trying to be like the 7th seed every year. So we're on the Kings here at 24, and oh man, a team that desperately needs to add defense. They were actually linked to the Bradley Beal rumors today, and I was like, they should definitely not do that because they have a good offense. But if he's on the board here, I'm going to do it. I'm going to have Chris Murray going to the Sacramento Kings. He's going to join his brother Keegan Murray. I think it would be a fun selection. And Chris Murray is actually a solid defender coming out of Iowa. He's not like he switched cheese on defense. So I'm going to go with Murray, and he's going to be joining his brother Keegan there in Sacktown.
I love that pick. I think one thing I was thinking about, because I think with him, a quote-unquote downside is that he's already 23, but I was thinking about that means he'll be 27 when his rookie deal ends, which means you actually have him in his prime on the rookie deal. Deal. You know, depending on where their team goes, if they kind of continue this upward trajectory, that could be an incredible value if he's being paid only like $8 million at age 27.
Yeah, definitely. And like Harrison Barnes is probably going to leave this offseason, so they're going to have like new wingmen. So I think, yeah, like bringing Chris Murray, like you said, somebody that's like a little bit on the older side, so he's more NBA ready than some of these other guys, which could be huge because they're trying to make the playoffs again next year.
Yeah. What I guess side tangent. What do you think about their kind of the 2-man core they have? Do you like Sabonis long term, or how do you feel about that for them?
Yeah, so it's funny like the way you look at it because I love Sabonis making $18 million a year. When you tell me he's going to be making $40 million a year, it's going to be tough to say that I love him. And Fox, I think there is going to be some defensive issues, and if he doesn't, because I don't know if is he going to have like a Brook Lopez career 3-point resurgence later in his career, but if he doesn't develop a shot, he's really tough to play at the 5 because of his limited defensive ability. I think if there's a chance they can land like it's funny because it's like, oh, they can get a center that could shoot, but that was like Miles Turner basically in Indiana. I don't know. I think I got to see another year out of it, and if they can add some defense around him, he'll be okay. But I say this now when he's making 18 mil, but yeah, like I said, when he's making 40 mil, it's gonna be tough to look at. Like, okay, I love this duo.
Yeah, I'm just really afraid of what they look like in a playoff series versus the Lakers or the Nuggets, where it's just like, how do you survive the Davis Jokic minutes? But we are here with the Grizzlies, which is a really one of those teams that maybe could have beaten the Lakers if their bigs were healthy. I think Lakers probably still prevail personally, but I think they could definitely win that series. This team kind of has everything. At times they need shooting.
I was just gonna say they're a weird team right now because like, sorry to cut you off there, but like, who knows how many games Ja's gonna get suspended for too. So like, this guy could have to make like an immediate impact for them.
So I'm gonna go with Brandon Podziemski. He can shoot. He's efficient already. If he does have to do a little bit of playmaking in Ja's absence, he'll be able to do that a little bit. I mean, I hope a team of this quality isn't relying on a 25th overall pick, but I think he slots in pretty nicely there and addresses some of their needs.
Yeah, I love this pick, him in the 20s. I like for sure think he should go in the first round, and as a combo guard, coming over there with good size, and he could be a good defender and a good playmaker. I think like even if Ja Morant, like he's probably gonna get suspended, Podziemski could really make an immediate impact for them. Do you have I don't know how many games he's gonna get suspended for. Do you even have like a prediction, or it's like, because he's probably gonna get more than, or like around 20. It's got to be probably 20 at the minimum.
I'm thinking 20 to 30.
Yeah, that's crazy. He's going to miss like a quarter of the season. Wow.
That's nuts.
They're going to... I know, right? So we're on the clock here with the Pacers. This is their second first-round pick. You had them taking Cam Whitmore before, so he joins Benedict Mathurin, Buddy Hield, there in the on the wings for them. And I think looking at this, I think they could take a chance on one of these first-round picks. Now, they have another one at 29, I believe, from the Boston Celtics. So I'm going to have them take a little bit of a chance on somebody, and that's Dariq Whitehead, who could be a really good spot-up shooter in this league because he was this past year at Duke. And I think he could also be a good defender. The only thing with him is his foot injuries. He had 2, I believe, last year. He's gotten surgery on them. And if he can't stay healthy, hey, this isn't a great pick. But at 26, you're looking for somebody that can, raise your ceiling, and not really like a floor raiser here at 26.
So now we are back with the Hornets, which is a really interesting team. So we had them taking Brandon Miller. I believe Miles Bridges is coming back. He's serving a relatively short suspension. I have this guy actually 21st on my big board, so I'm taking him pretty much no matter what, and I actually think this is a perfect landing spot for him, and that is Olivier Maxence Prosper. I love pairing these like athletic kind of bigs with LaMelo, and I think someone who also projects to be a good defensive player just is also going to be important, since I think their point of attack defense is pretty weak in Charlotte, especially with the Rozier being the other guard there this season.
Definitely, and they need to hit on honestly some of these picks because their young core. I mean, it's getting better, but they need to, I think, like get somebody that can give them meaningful minutes. So there's even like 4 guys that I would love here at 28 to the Jazz. Like I think Ryan Rupert should go in the first round. I love Colby Jones. Jaime Jaquez and Maxwell Lewis are all great. I'm going to go with Colby Jones. I remember I had the Jazz taking Jordan Hawkins. Oh, man, I'm going to have them take another shooting guard. You had them take Bilal, but I think it's going to be a wing here. Yeah, I'm going to take them have the best wing, in my opinion, on the board. Colby Jones out of Xavier with the Jazz third first-round pick in this draft.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think when, you have multiple picks, if you pick the same position twice, because I think the thing, though, is, like, honestly, with the basketball draft, you really, pretty much every team, it's BPA to a degree at this late in the draft.
Yeah, I think if, like, unless you had, like, 3 centers who can't shoot, probably don't take a 4th. But, yeah, if you're taking wings, take, like, 10 of them. Like, take best player available.
It's like testing the draft, like, every quarterback in the draft theory and just
draft 1 every draft.
So with that, I have the Pacers again. I guess I'll just take Ryan Rupert since he's there. Best player on the board right now.
I think, like, a project player there in Indiana could probably benefit from being in, like, the G League if, like, the way this is going for them. Like, we had Dariq Whitehead and Cam Whitmore, but somebody that could definitely progress in year 2 and year 3. So, final pick here in the first round of the mock. Man, we got Gregory Jackson, Gigi Jackson still on the board, Trace Jackson Davis, Marcus Sasser, Sidy Sissoko. Wow, there's a ton of talent here at 30. I could definitely see teams trying to trade up and get this pick. I think it's going to come down between Jaime Jaquez and Maxwell Lewis, because Jaquez, I'm coming around on watching more film from him. And I think, like, going to a team like the Clippers that could really use just a veteran, like, college player coming over that could be a crafty scorer for them. But I like Maxwell Lewis still. I think he should definitely go in the first round out of Pepperdine. I love his scoring at the rim. I think he's a really good finisher, and I think that translates to being a pretty good player in the NBA. So that wraps out our mock. This is a very interesting mock, and I like it a lot. If you had to like look at these picks right here, maybe just one pick that stands out to you, and you're like, I could really love this if it happened on draft night.
I really like Buffkin to the Raptors, and I really like. I mean, I like seeing the Pistons get shooting. For sure. I don't know. I don't know if I'm quite as high on this draft maybe as others are. I feel like a lot of these players, it's kind of this weird draft where it's like guys are either really athletic, but they can't really shoot, they can't play make, or it's like good playmaking with a lot of like athletic downside. The one I was kind of curious what you thought about this. The one player that the more I like studied that I became a bit lower on was Anthony Black. I just feel like he almost like watching him in college, he looks just massive despite, 6'7". He's not like jump out of the gym athletic or huge, but he just seems kind of like, I don't know, slow to me. So I don't know what you thought about that.
No, yeah, funny you said that. I'm actually lower on Black than some other people. I have Kobe Buffkin just like around him, and then I also have Cason Wallace above him as well. And yeah, no, like you said, I think he's pretty slow with his first step. I think he's still a good athlete, but I do wonder if his playmaking is going to be good enough to really kind of offset that speed. And then I'm worried about his shooting. I don't love his jump shot. We'll see if it translates to the next level. But yeah, I'm not as high on Anthony Black as some other guys. I think I'm like coming around on Cason Wallace over him, and I'm probably coming around on Kobe Buffkin, even though Kobe Buffkin could be like, he's more of a combo guard. But yeah, not as high on Anthony Black, and I do agree with your point there.
Yeah, and the other player, I think, because I chose two of my picks, I think the pick of yours that I love for that team, and I would have loved him for the team ahead of him, I think I might have messed up, was Chris Murray. Especially if the Trailblazers do keep Damian Lillard, I think Murray might have been the better guy. I guess it's one of those, if Dame stays, I think I'd rather have Murray, the ready-to-go guy, over Sensabaugh, but I think that was a great pick for the Kings.
Yeah, I think so too, for sure. If they were able to move like 3 in Simons but keep 23, Chris Murray could be really good for them to help contribute. And then I'm just trying to like look here at some picks that I really like. Like for a pick I made, I really like Leonard Miller to the Miami Heat at 18. Yeah. I think that would be like a really good spot for him. And then pick you made, I really like Derek Lively at 17 to the Lakers. I think if he's there at 17, like they have to take him for all the reasons you said. Just get another big next to AD, somebody that could be a rim runner and a roller next to LeBron. And then if you can hit some threes too, that could just be just an added like plus for them.
Yeah, and I don't know if we can say this is the pick of the draft, but I think the winner of this draft, if this mock draft happened, is the San Antonio Spurs.
No, right? They just need to make one pick and that's it. Yeah. It's probably funny too, because like all these like scouts, like they work like crazy hours and like scouting 60 plus players in this draft, and then like you land number one and it's like, oh, we don't really have to do any more first round grading till the NBA draft. But I guess like if there's a chance they end up trading up, they have to really know everything. But yeah, it's pretty much set in stone that Wemby's going number one. But yeah, hope you guys did enjoy this mock. It was fun. It was different than some of the mocks I've done, which I really like. And I think like there's going to be some crazy surprises on draft night. And then obviously there's going to be some trades that we can't predict either. So yeah, thank you for coming on. I appreciate it. And hope you had fun doing this.
I did. This was a lot of fun. I'm excited for the draft.
Yeah, me too. So yeah, I'll catch you guys in the next one. And thank you all for watching. Peace.